Hello, my name is Jude Matthew. I'm a student at Drexel University, and today I want to talk about should we get rid of the Electoral College? I am going to argue that yes, we should get rid of the Electoral College here in the United States. Well, first of all, what is the Electoral College? The Electoral College was established in Article 2, Section 1 of the United States Constitution. It is a formal body which elects the President and the Vice President of the United States. The number of electors each state has is a combined total of the House Representatives and the Senators from that state. Let's talk about why was it created. It was created for many reasons. At the time, most people did not have the means to be informed about the candidates running for president, which meant that they could not make an informed decision about who should be the president. Another reason for its creation is that the Founding Fathers did not want large states to have an undue advantage over the smaller states. That is, they didn't want the candidates to focus heavily on cities with a large population and ignore the rural America. This is why an electoral college was the solution Founding Fathers came up with for electing the President of the United States. First thing to realize when talking about the Electoral College is that it was created in the 18th century. Now, that in itself does not discount the effectiveness of the Electoral College, but what does matter is whether the reasons why it was created still hold true in today's day and age. Well, the short answer is it does not. Just the technology that is available to everyone in America today allows people to have the means to get information about any candidate running for president. Just because it is in the Constitution does not mean it's right and the best solution to a given problem. The Constitution is a living document, and over time there have been several amendments that specifically address the lack of direct democracy in our Constitution. Amendments that gave women and African Americans their explicit right to vote is an example of these changes. Now, many people say that United States is not a democracy, but a constitutional republic. This is true. While this might be true, it is also true that in the very foundations of our country, it is written that all men are created equal. A logical extension to this is that every vote should have equal voice when making a huge decision, such as electing the President of the United States. In 1962, the Supreme Court, in the case Baker v. Carr, established the one-person, one-vote principle, stating that the Constitution mandated state legislative districts be roughly equal in population, in order to ensure everyone's votes counts the same in statewide elections. And I don't see why this should not be applicable in a countrywide basis. If the election depended solely on the popular vote, then candidates could limit campaigning to heavily populated areas or specific regions. This is the argument used by people in support of the Electoral College. Mathematically speaking, this just does not hold up to be true, because campaigning in just large cities won't be enough for any presidential candidate. In addition to that, the current reality is that in our country we have swing or battleground states that receive way more campaigning from candidates than the ones that are heavily blue or red. This creates a sinister bias from our candidates during their campaigning. According to 2016 episode of PBS NewsHour, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton have made more than 90% of their campaign stops in just the 11 so-called battleground states. Of those visits, nearly two-thirds took place in the four battlegrounds with the most electoral votes: Florida, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and North Carolina. Let's talk about rural representation. If you conceive of rural America as a set of states, sure, the Electoral College does give voters in Iowa or Montana or Wyoming a sizable say in the selection of the president. If you conceive of it as a population of voters, on the other hand, the picture is quite different. Roughly 60 million Americans live in rural counties, and they are not all concentrated in the rural states. Millions live in large and mid-sized states like California, New York, Illinois, Alabama, and South Carolina. Under popular vote, a Republican campaign can link rural voters from California with rural voters in upstate New York. This is a prime example of how count every vote counting and mattering regardless of the person's location in the United States. Another repercussion of having an electoral college system is that it totally eliminates the possibility of having an independent candidate making any kind of headway in the presidential election. Currently, in most states, we have a winner-take-all system, and that means that if 60% of the votes of one state is for the Republican candidate, that means the entire electoral vote is going to go to the Republicans of that state. This essentially means that the other 40% of the votes mean nothing, and that would not be the case after abolishing the Electoral College. That is, every vote will matter, no matter who is voting or where the person is located in the country. One person, one vote. In this video, I talked about whether we should have the Electoral College in our country. I argued for the position that we should abolish the Electoral College. Hopefully, the arguments that I laid out get my point across. Thank you for watching.